Oh, hey, welcome in. Streaming software forgot what microphone I use again. Always good. Welcome in, folks. Hope you're all having a good one. My name is Pixarus. Welcome to your Tuesday Minecraft live stream. Also, Soprano Cat with the 12 months here, and spam the word nerd in the chat, please. Thank you so much for the full year of support. Enjoy that nerd sub badge. Welcome to the nerd herd. My hair is sticking out in all kinds of directions. Hilarious. Right, hello. Mavis Nightwine, thank you for the 15 months. Lucitria, thank you for the raid. Magpie Life with the 18 months as well, the year and a half. My goodness. Hope everyone's well. Hope you're all doing okay. My energy level's feeling a little bit low right now. I've not been sleeping as well as I normally do since we got back. So forgive me if I'm a little bit more downbeat than usual, but we're just going to have a nice chill one today. It's Tuesday streams, is what we do. Prismarine, thank you for the 11 months. And Sprocket, thank you for the 20. Tedable with 16 as well. Thank you so much for the resubs, folks. Folks who weren't here on last Thursday's stream, it was my first stream back after our trip to the US. I wasn't here on Sunday because we had Dungeons and Dragons. So, yeah, today we're just going to be getting back into it. We're going to be over in Empire's SMP. On Empires, we are working on a bit of landscaping. I'm finally taking down all of the glass that's been shrink-wrapping my mountain for the last little while, and we're going to be turning that whole area into a plateau that we're going to build a castle on. So just going to be working on that, really. That's not going to be like the whole of the next episode because I have some other bits and pieces I want to take care of, but we're going to start the work on that and start planning some stuff out and see how we do. Obviously, people on Empire's getting back into it over the last little while, so hopefully it's going to be nice and busy. Not too much going on today, it looks like. We've got Tedable, Mr. Beardstone, and Goatbones. Thank you all for the resubs. Hope you're all very well. And we got a hype train going, so if anyone wants to get yourself some exclusive Twitch emotes, you can get involved with the hype train by gifting some subs, subscribing yourself if you're not one already, resub if you got one handy, or cheering some bits. All that stuff goes to supporting the channel. Just me online right now. We have a wandering trader over here who I've already checked out. I don't need any of his trades, and I'm just clearing up the last of the glass. I have over 100 beacons in my inventory, so that's a thing. Folks who are around on the last stream will know about this already, but since I have the Wither Skeleton farm on the server, I've basically been farming beacons. We just killed a bunch of withers on the last stream. G the B, thank you for gifting those 5 subs. NP Beans, thank you for the 6 months as well. Is this kind of quiet? Oh yeah, I've turned my block sounds way down, that'd be why. There we go. Oh yeah, I think it was because we were killing the wither and the explosions are all on block sounds for some reason. Felicia Powell, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Brand new sub to the channel. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Is it castle season or something? Well, it tends to be the point in most people's Let's Plays. They're sort of 3 to 6 months in if they're a player who can play full-time. They've got a lot of resources, and people tend to be building big stuff at this time in a fresh season, right? Sometimes people build big immediately because they just want to make a statement, you know, but I tend to find that I want to approach some more ambitious projects once I've had some time to get settled in, acquired lots of resources, that kind of thing. Nightingale with 1,000 bits, thank you for the 1,000. L4, thank you so much for the 45 months. Good luck breaking all that glass. Most of it is already done. I already pulled like a full shulker box and change out of this thing, and I think we have basically finished shulker number 2, actually. Yeah, that one's already full from this. This is basically all of the glass I used to surround Joel's floating island, which he just, like, reinvested in my mountain, I guess. But yeah, I just put a couple of other streams on and chilled out and broke half of this morning. Underneath here is still, because the calcite is only 1 block thick, on top of that there is, underneath that I should say, there is still a bunch of lava to deter Joel from stealing it again. So, you'll hear the occasional lava sounds, the occasional mob sounds, don't worry about any of it. Sarah Rattlesnake, thank you for the resubs. And Hell Live, thank you for the 100 bits. My trip was very nice, thank you. Do I have any other worlds besides Survival Guide and Empires? I have a bunch of test worlds and stuff, but I don't tend to play Minecraft, like, casually a whole bunch. If I'm doing work, it's usually towards some sort of YouTube series, and the only ones of those I have going on at all right now is Survival Guide and Empires. Lava Pops. I know, everyone's favorite cereal. It's going to be based on Lanedale. Stormvale is part of the inspiration for it. In particular, I like the fact that Stormvale is already kind of ruined and that there have been pretty clear, like, holes burnt into the side and blasted by, like, dragons or siege weaponry or whatever it would happen to be from the shattering. And so I kind of like that idea. Like, the castle has been besieged at some point in the past or has just succumbed to the elements. And I'm not going to be just recreating Stormvale one for one, but I'm taking a lot of cues from it. I'm actually replaying bits of Elden Ring right now, but I'm past the Stormvale section, so I might go back there and just wander around once I'm bulky enough to not really care about anything attacking me. Nathan B, thank you so much for the 14 months. Minute 30 left on the hype train. Anyone else wants to get their resubs and stuff in? Should pour some tea as well. Lovely. Right now, just a waiting game until a new Zelda game comes out. How long is it going to be? Because I know they've started, like, putting out trailers for it and stuff. I don't know when the release date is. Red, Maiko, everyone spam the word nerd in the chat. Thank you so much for that 12-month resub, the full year of support. Enjoy that nerd sub badge. Welcome to the Nerd Herds. Comes out 12th of May. Oh, cool. Like, a week before my birthday, basically. Det Pecker with the 5 months as well. Thank you so much. And Dan Grice with the 33 months. Just had Shadow 27 with the 2 months. Almost at level 3 on the hype train.
Well, that's just prime.
Thank you, Lilypad Squared. I'm happy to be back, although my nose is kind of tickly right now, so bear with me whilst I blow my nose. Oh, sorry about that. Almond and Vinka took us over the line. We're on level 3 of the hype train now.
Well,
thank you so much for the generosity, folks. Solvent Mountain, thanks so much for the 3 months as well. Why is there glass on the mountain? So originally, this mountain was just a naturally generated mountain with this big streak of calcite in it. And at the time, my base was fairly small, but still visible over here on the other side. So like over here. Like my little farm was down there, and my starter house and stuff. A starter house, like the ruin house. And Joel Smallish Beans came over here looking for calcite, and because this was one of the nearest mountains he could find with calcite in it, he just took all of the calcite. And as retaliation, because my whole theme for this season is being an archaeologist and preserving things, I went and surrounded his build that he'd used the calcite for in like a glass case. And
well,
he got the hint, but also returned the glass. So the mountain has looked like it's been in shrink wrap for the last little while. Tricia, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Sunburn, and thank you for the resub. Mecky Moose and Jennifer, thank you for the resubs as well. Oh my goodness, all the resubs coming in for people who weren't able to make it to Thursday stream, I guess. Stay puffed, Ravenfire Gaming, thank you for the resubs. Really helping that hype train along. But yeah, this is just going to have the mountain go back to looking like a normal mountain for now. And then I don't know for certain if we're going to build anything on top of this part, but I presume we will. At which point I will just end up landscaping it. Glass is annoying to remove. I do wish haste or something would allow you to instantly mine it, but you need Silk Touch to even obtain it, so glass is one of those slightly temperamental things. Lizzie Bell, thank you for the 9 months. Is the music a little loud? We can probably turn that down just a touch. There we go. How does everyone feel about cherry groves and stuff? I haven't had time to really do much, like, test building with cherry wood, but I do like it. I think it's kind of a cool addition to the game. Considering that it's taken this long for cherry wood to actually make it to the game, I'm honestly really surprised at the addition, but it seems like a good update to do it. So we do kind of need cherry blossom leaves. People already try and emulate that. I think the next thing we really need, if they're adding more wood types in future, they don't seem to be afraid to do it at this point, we really need like an autumnal yellow or red leaf color. Something like maple, maybe, would be really nice. That gets us something a bit more like this, but a leaf color that you could take everywhere. Because I presume the cherry leaves aren't affected by biome. Like, the blossom isn't going to be. I don't know about the little green elements, but that would be kind of interesting if just the green pixels in that texture were affected by what biome they're in. Sam Oleander, thank you for the 100 bits. Kamikaze Choppin, thank you for the Prime sub. And Quiver Me Ones, thank you so much for the 3 months. Eucalyptus could be cool. That'd be interesting. Do you reckon they'd add koalas to go along with it? Because don't they eat eucalyptus? They're like the only animal that can digest it or something. I think there's something like that to do with koalas. It's weird. You wish they were slightly more see-through. I've seen a lot of people give that feedback, but then what we're used to building cherry blossom trees out of right now is like solid blocks for the most part, and occasionally I suppose you add pink glass in there, but people tend to build them out of concrete powder and glazed terracotta and stuff, so it's kind of funny that as soon as a slightly transparent block comes along, we feel like we need more of it. What about the torchlight flowers? I like them. I want there to be more. The sniffer has the potential to dig up, like, other flowers than just torch flowers. But, obviously it's only just been added. It's not fully implemented yet, because you can't find them in survival, so I'm hoping that there is still more to come with the sniffer and with archaeology. If you want more of my thoughts on that, we had a really long discussion on the Spawn Chunks podcast yesterday, all about my thoughts on the features that were announced whilst I was away on holiday. So if you check out the podcast over at thespawnchunks.com, it's on YouTube, or just search your podcast app for The Spawn Chunks, you'll find us. And yeah, me and Joel had a good chat about everything that happened while I was away. Wish the torch flower would make torch flower dye being like an orange-pink color. Well, it makes orange, so that's close enough. But I can't imagine them really adding more than the 16 colors we already have. That would be one of those other changes that I'd be really surprised if they did it, but I suppose it's not outside the realm of possibility. It just means they have to add a variant of basically everything that can be dyed. So if you think about that, that's like wool, carpet and beds, banners. You have to add banner patterns in all of those colors. You're adding candles, shulker boxes, armor. You know, there's like a lot of things that you could dye if they added a new color. And it feels like the spectrum we have already is pretty full, you know? Glass is in there as well, right? There's, you know, all sorts of other potential dyes. Now Mojang just needs to add African blackwood and a greenwood tree. Not familiar with either of them, but I presume just for additional plank colors at that point, right? I'd like to see capybaras before koalas. Capybaras would be kind of sweet. Although the sniffer has like that big, bulky kind of vibe that capybaras give off. Big, bulky, and chill. Although if they do add capybaras, they have to add yuzu for the videos of capybaras taking like a bath surrounded by citrus. What were those other trees they had in the vote a while back with ostriches and meerkats? So they had palm trees and baobab trees, which would be in the deserts and savannas respectively. Baobab trees could just have been a 2x2 variant of acacia.
Well, that's just
but given how enthusiastic they seem to be about adding more wood types now, I do think there could be different wood types for those as well. Like palm wood could be kind of different. Big Tasty, thank you for the 7 months. Sweet Sandy with the 14. Ginger, thank you for gifting a sub. And Mooster, appreciate the resub. Why have muddy pigs when you can have capybaras taking a bath? I know, much cleaner animals. Baobab's a super chunky IRL. They'd make a good first 3x3 tree. Oh, that'd be interesting. I wonder how much that would change the wood farming game. Capybaras in like a wooden cauldron. Like a trough of some kind. But then once you get outside of like 1 block in size, which I presume the capybaras would be, they'd be like the size of pigs probably. You could just make a trough out of trapdoors or something, right? It's a fungus IRL that infects wood and turns it a pretty shade of blue. Imagine if we had that. Ooh. We've got plenty of fungus in the game already, so there's precedent for that. What's the glass for? The glass isn't for anything. I'm just removing it from my mountain so that I can terraform. And because the shrink wrap has been here for a while, I just didn't feel like removing it until I wanted to do something with this area, and now I do. Useless Rogue, thank you for the 17 months. See you later, Alf. Have a good one. But we have blue wood. We do have kind of that cyan wood. I'm not sure how blue the fungus infested wood is. But warped wood seems to be quite like a strong color, and there's a lot of kind of yellow green in that. Be nice if it was kind of like a paler blue. Am I going to leave the calcite? For now, yes, but in future, I've no idea. Would a beacon help? No, not with glass. I mean, it might make things very slightly faster, but it's not going to help me insta-mine or anything, and by the time I set a beacon up, the time it takes to set up a beacon and then take it down again is probably going to have a negative impact on the time this takes, rather than the positive one. Love sequoias in Minecraft. Add a variation of podzol which requires burning, like how fire is part of forest cultivation. Interesting concept. Like, I know they do controlled burns in some places, right? Just to, you create, like, a fire break and you make sure that certain areas don't get overgrown or whatever. They really need to change the glass mining speed. I mean, it's, I'm not going to say no to it, but I think it's just one of those things that stays characteristic of glass, and it makes you quite careful about how you use it. Ashes help the soil health. Oh, that makes sense. Aspen trees with yellow leaves. That's an option, certainly. They have specific cones that have a waxy substance that allows them to reseed only after a fire. Wow. That's some very specialized evolution, it feels like. I think it'd be fun to introduce a tool that would let you insta-mine something like a slingshot where you just break the glass. I mean, maybe, but then again, if I just wanted to break the glass and destroy it, I could use TNT. Because I don't think glass has a very strong blast resistance. Hope they do something with birch concept art from the Wild Update announcement. Honestly, my theory, I don't know how true this is, but it was something I talked about on the podcast the other day. My theory is that they had some of that stuff in the works for birch forests, and it came to adding the flower kind of carpet on the ground as a different type of flower, and they thought, no, this would be really great as cherry blossom petals, and so they just decided to rework ideas like that, but for cherry groves, which is why they didn't add it in 1.19, because it meant developing a whole new biome for it. Honestly, most of the stuff you saw in those screenshots we already have in the game, though. There really wasn't a great deal of stuff that felt any different. It just looked pretty because it was concept art. Like, you're not going to get rays of sunshine coming down through the forest canopy the way it was in that concept art unless you're running shaders, so... What's the longest time I played Minecraft in one sitting? I don't know, to be honest. I've definitely played for, like, upwards of 10 hours before. Some of it even on streams. But when I do longer streams, I tend to, like, change up what we're doing, and sometimes we'll play other games. Still think Java needs fallen trees? Yeah, I would agree with that. They do add a certain amount of character to pre-generated landscape. It's a nice way of getting vines without having to go too far as well. Although jungle biomes are way more common in 1.18. Cool if some of the current flowers could be crafted into carpets like cherry blossoms. There's certainly room for that, I think, yeah. Java doesn't have fallen trees, no. I mean, you can make fallen trees very easily because it's just like a few planks lying on, or a few logs lying on their side, but they don't generate that way. Don't know what tree it is, but the house behind mine has a tree with wine red leaves. Yeah, there's a few trees like that in this area. I'm not sure what species the trees are. Revolutionary Pirate with the 12 months. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat once again, please. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. Enjoy that nerd sub badge. And don't work too hard. Jimmy put a hole in the wallpaper and he asked us not to tell you. Well, you failed at that assignment, haven't you? It's the last time Jimmy tells you anything. Copper Beach usually in Europe? Maybe. Yeah, I think maple trees would be a fun addition. I wonder what you could do with maple syrup, if it would just be like another way of getting hold of sugar, or if there'd be some other use for it. Imagine maple syrup blocks the way we have honey blocks. The Canadians would be happy. Or a tapper could just extract syrup and it could be used instead of slime balls. That makes sense. Sticky pistons made with maple instead of slime. Imagine designing trees is a fun challenge for the Minecraft team. Yeah, I expect so. I think they've done a good job of distinguishing the cherry trees from everything else. They've got that kind of diagonal acacia-style trunk to them, but it's very distinct from acacia. A Canadian update, maple trees and moose. Imagine a blocky moose. Would the moose be rideable? What do I think about baking ever being added to Minecraft? The thing is, it kind of makes things a little more complicated because we've already got bread that you can just craft in a crafting table, right? So it feels like to have that be more realistic, you'd need to have wheat just make dough and then have to cook the dough in a furnace to get bread, but that just feels like you're adding steps to something that's already not very complicated. Jubilant Poet, thank you for the 100 bits. Marcus, thank you for the 20 months as well. We also had Lion Guru. I think I might have missed that one. Thank you for the 11 months. Jubilant Poet says, my favorite thing Bedrock does different from Java just on a vibes level is in snowy biomes the leaves be a white toned. Yeah, like that's when you get snow layers settling on them, you get white leaves. Zoob Shooter, thank you so much for the 14 months. Because of vacation, I haven't been able to thank you yet for the Copper Machine tutorial. Built it in survival mode on a multiplayer server. What's the plan with the mountain? Well, this whole area, we worked a little bit on this before I went away. This whole area is going to be transformed into a flatter kind of plateau. And the idea is we're going to be building a castle on top of it. But I just wanted to take the glass out of the way now so that if we end up doing stuff in this area, it doesn't feel like it's in the way, and I don't have to, like, interrupt the flow of whatever it is I'm doing to take all of the glass down. Because I probably will end up going at least this far, you know? Oh, we're on weird soundscapes again. Skip through that. 1.20 will probably come out in May or June. I'd expect around then, yeah. Optimistically, I'd say April or May. What was the purpose of the glass earlier? It was a prank. Alright, I think that is all the glass now, which is good. Gosh, it looks way different, doesn't it? No more shrink wrap for me. I'm not seeing any more around that. If we have moose, we should also have reindeer and have them come with red noses occasionally. Is the calcite on the mountain naturally? Yes and no. It was there originally, it got taken away, and I put it back. So I probably didn't put it back in exactly the same place as it existed originally. But I did try and put it back as, like, following the guidelines of where it had been taken away. This was from an incident towards the beginning of the series where Joel Smallish Beans took all of my calcite. Can Optifine 1.9.2 be used to play in 1.19.3? I don't believe so. I think you do have to update Optifine. I don't use Optifine all that much anymore because I don't use it on Survival Guide, and on Empires we run Sodium instead of Optifine, so the last time I used it really was when we were on Hermitcraft, and even then I didn't do much with it. Pretty sure I read somewhere that reindeer eat lichen, so new uses for existing plants. Hey, not a bad idea. Can you imagine if reindeer ate glow lichen? Would kind of justify the really shiny nose thing. And if you ever saw him, you could really say he ate glow lichen. Yeah, normal lichen, not the glowing type. Honestly, something like glow lichen that could be used to add a mossy effect to any block would be kind of cool. As an overlay. Like vines that you could put horizontally. That'd be kind of cool. Right, let's put the signs away. I have one emerald ore that I mined from the mountain earlier that I'm going to just pop in storage. Does Minecraft support FPS above 60? Yes. If you go into options, go to video settings. This is looking a little different because I'm running Sodium. But over here, this slider, you can't quite see it because of my overlays. But this slider here has a max frame rate, and it'll be somewhere up here in the top right if you've got the default options screen. if you're not running sodium. Honestly, if you're struggling to get higher frame rates, though, I recommend installing sodium, because it's pretty good as far as performance enhancements go. Optifine will get you potentially some frame rate boosts as well, but as with all performance enhancing mods, a lot of the time it depends what kind of hardware you have, whether or not they really have any effect for you. And so it's kind of a little difficult to tell whether something's going to work that way or not. I'm going to put these beacons in my preservation kit for now, just so I'm not walking around with like 120 beacons on me. Salient, thanks so much for the 17 months. And Your Gamer Girl, thank you for the 4. Good morning from Oregon. Good morning to you, Oregon. Where did I leave my... Oh, I think I put the ender chest down in the catacombs, didn't I? Let's pop this here. And no spare ender chests. Okay. What type of PC do I have? It's custom build from Scan Computers here in the UK. You can find all of the specs for it down in the description of my stream, where all of the About panels and stuff are, or on the About section of my YouTube channel. But it's not like an off-the-shelf PC. They built it for me because I had a deal with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA budgeted a PC for me so that I could play Minecraft RTX, which was very generous of them. When am I getting back to building in my area? That's the idea of what we're doing here. We're landscaping a lot of stuff so that we can get back to building. But there's clearly some areas that are going to fit the space in between. Put those in here for now. And... yeah, I want to start building some stuff that's, like, around this area, because this is obviously a lot of free open space. This whole area is going to become more of, like, a cliff surrounding this valley, I suppose you'd call it, here in the savannah. And then, yeah, if we landscape some more, we can do some cool stuff with it. But for now, I just want to outline the area of where we're going to build. Is Ollie's Bridge on the cards? Yes. He said probably in a couple of weeks, though, so I assume he's got a lot of editing to do right now. Has Mojang announced an estimated release date for the new update? No, not yet. They usually don't until they're, like, a good couple of weeks away from actually publishing it, because right now, especially, I think they are mostly concerned with getting these features in shape and adjusting them for whatever feedback the community has about them. Because they've done a lot of that with this update, of just, like, listening to what people want from those features and trying to add stuff within reason. So if people are saying, hey, wouldn't it be really great if archaeology had a couple more pot designs and maybe we could dye the pots different colors and that kind of stuff, then that's the kind of thing they will consider. Netcat, thank you so much for the 20 months. Welcome back. Well, the main things right now in Minecraft I'm having fun with at the moment. Just being back in Minecraft, really, because I spent a bit of time away. I didn't really play any Minecraft for the last few weeks. But, yeah, right now I really enjoy building. I really enjoy, like, the redstone stuff I was doing with copper aging has just been surprisingly fulfilling. To get all of that stuff figured out. I'm kind of surprised how much I enjoy technical stuff like that. Netcat FRD Dot, thank you so much for the resubs. Seen so many of your videos literally just stumbled on here on the directory by accident. A lot of people seem to find me randomly by browsing Twitch and then are surprised that I stream here, which is kind of cool. Always a pleasure to have new people in the chat. Welcome in. Didn't know I had a Minecraft break. I went on holiday for like a few weeks to visit my partner's family in the USA, so I couldn't bring Minecraft with me because I only have a Mac laptop, and it can run Minecraft, but for the last little while, I don't know if it's just like it needs a Java update or something, but Minecraft doesn't launch from it, and it's certainly not powerful enough to keep up with more recent versions of Minecraft with decent FPS. So typically I end up installing some stuff that runs on Mac from Steam. So I played Stardew Valley, which I tend to play on my laptop every time I go away with my laptop for longer periods of time. And Stardew's a great game. I always end up enjoying my time in Stardew. Now we've seen probably everything for the next update. I think Mojang made the right decision when they limited what they showed off during their live showcase. Yeah, I think it really helps build hype for the game if we don't hear about features and then not get to play with them for 6 months. Like, I like being able to be surprised by new features when they're announced instead of being like, right, time for us to look at this then. Like, it feels much more like we get presents, like it's Christmas suddenly, instead of like, well, we were owed this from 3 months ago and it's finally arrived. You know what I mean? It's sort of like waiting for a package to arrive. And you're like, the people you've ordered it from are taking their time. I don't know why it's taking them so long. That seems to be a lot of people's attitude to Minecraft development. It's a real shame. Anastasia, thanks so much for the 46 months and curly wild hair with the nerd resub. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chats. Thank you so much for the full year of support. Welcome to the nerd herds. Enjoy that nerd sub badge. Wear it with pride. Was wondering my thoughts on the Stardew board game. Novelty or worth the purchase? Definitely worth the purchase if you're the kind of person who likes that type of board game. I think they've done a really good job of like interpreting the video game in board game form, and I had a lot of fun playing it. It's quite a long game the first time you get used to it, but I do think it's got a lot of like replayability and stuff. Do I play modded Stardew or vanilla? I play vanilla. I've still never reached like 100% completion on vanilla Stardew, so I feel like I might as well keep playing it until I've done a bit of that. So the reason I wanted to bring my ender chest over here is that I actually have a bunch of stone in shulkers that I just pulled up from the copper aging facility. When I dug all of that out, I left a ton of chests of natural stone down there, so it wouldn't overload my storage system, but I could come back to it anytime I needed some. Which, would you believe, building a mountain out of natural stone sort of makes the most sense. Got some slightly larger cliff faces. It's maybe a little, like, over-detailed in places, but I think we can go through with the detail pass and add some texture and it'll look nicer. Yes, I have the Stardew board game. Is it difficult? Difficult is not quite the right word for it. It's challenging, I want to say. But it's a up to 4 player co-op game, and it scales with additional players so that you basically just have to do... If you have to deliver 4 times as much stuff. The 2 objectives that you have to complete for the game are like community center bundles and the sort of granddad's objectives, kind of similar to the video game where it's all about making your granddad proud by turning the farm into a successful farm. And yeah, like they did a pretty good job of translating those into game activities. But there's a few different variations on it that you can play.
Well, that's just prime.
Like you get different objectives each time if you're shuffling them out of a deck of several options. Even though I'm a Bedrock player on the Switch, can't recreate a lot of what you do. I just wanted to say that I really dig your style and delivery. Hey, no worries, Captain Bo. Thank you so much for the 5 months. And honestly, like, most of what I do, there's like little bits and pieces of redstone that don't really translate to Bedrock, but most of what I'm doing here is building, and a lot of the building is something you can do on Bedrock, so don't worry too much about that. Just do what you can. Moss-Covered Sword says, me and Jem recently got you back into playing Stardew Valley. Just finished the first year with the house completely upgraded and the community center finished. Nice. Yeah, I love trying to get the community center done in year 1. It's a fun challenge. Didn't happen for me this time. I was waiting until summer for the red cabbage, but I checked the traveling cart every time. They just never had it. It's a little harder to get 100 beacons on Bedrock. Well, yeah, but nobody needs 100 beacons, really, do they? And I've seen Bedrock players who are like absolute powerhouses at this game who probably have their ways of cheesing the wither at this point. They are a nice light source, but honestly, sea lanterns aren't that different. And guardian farms on Bedrock are a very achievable thing. Again, designed differently to the Java farms, but... Can see Lloyd going for 100 beacons just to be contrary, I guess. Guardian farms are a pain. I mean, they are, but they're more like targeted on Bedrock than they are on Java. You don't have to worry about draining the monument, although that's not really a necessity on Java anyway, but... You can cheese the wither with iron golems on Bedrock. Yeah, now you've got iron farms that sort of work. It's a little bit more of a viable prospect. Would I ever return and complete the 100% playthrough on Stardew? Probably not at this point. I have no idea where I left it. And every time I go back to Stardew, I just start a new farm because I like being... like that fresh start feeling just always feels good. Like I like being in control of everything from the beginning, and the early game is always really fun, just seeing what you get, seeing what artifacts you dig up, and if there's any like weapons you suddenly arrive at that will help you in the mines or whatever. Are Froglights worth investing the time in, or would a Guardian farm for sea lanterns be better? Assuming the colors aren't a factor, but instead have an abundance of lights. Honestly, if you don't care about the colors, just getting one setup with frogs would be good and relatively easy, as long as you can find a bastion with a magma cube spawner, or set up a smallish farm in a basalt delta. Fresh start feeling is extremely relatable. I get that with a lot of games, including Minecraft. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people get that with Minecraft. Space Cats, thank you for the 12 months. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat once again. Ardbeg Cultist, thank you so much for the 28 months. And Poster Nerd, thank you for the 13. We need some flatter areas of this, I think. Trying to work with it in like layers a little bit more. Something like this. Don't know what the nerd thing is. So my sub badges all have names. They're like a little set of mascots that we created for the channel a little while back when I was having my good friend Joel do some art for the channel, and they've all got little four-letter names as though they're little code names, because I think of them as this little digital form of life that I call Pixels because that's the name of the community. And yeah, we decided that the one with the glasses and the bow tie should be called a nerd, and that's the 12-month sub badge because everyone who's been watching me for a year or more is probably a nerd at that point. And yes, like a great deal of people here were nerds before, but now it's official, you get a badge.
Well, that's just prime.
Melody, thank you so much for that Prime sub. A brand new sub to the channel. Enjoy that emote and sub badge combo package. Well, welcome to the Pixels. Enjoy that journey towards being a full nerd. I also just like making a bunch of people call each other nerds on the internet. It seems appropriate for this community. Yeah, getting there. Become a full-fledged nerd someday. You'll get there. Look out, we're the 2 months. Time to start your nerd journey. Well, it's the 2nd month of your nerd journey. You are 1/6 of the way there already. Can pop a torch or two in here. Oh, we found some more emerald ore. I will make sure I'm using my silk touch pick before I take that. There we go. Been a proud nerd since I knew what being a nerd was. It's nice to be recognized. There you go. We're all just looking for validation. I think what we need more of once we start the texture and stuff is just boulders. I think it's kind of cool that we have a cave out this side as well, with a little bit more emerald ore down there. But, yeah, we could potentially have this be... There's like a couple of secret ways into the castle. Like in Elden Ring, which again is one of the chief inspirations for the building I'm doing around here. There's a lot of different ways in and out of certain areas, and you like drop off the side of a wall, you drop down to an area where there's like a secret boss fight and other lore-related discoveries you can make down there, maybe a couple of hidden weapons, that kind of thing. Don Malam and Kat Marie, thank you so much for the sub and the resub. A ruined ancient cart that got splattered by a falling boulder, maybe. Fighting a shop design right now, really wishing for more containers besides chests and barrels, yeah. You can use crafting tables and blocks with item frames on the side to make them look a bit more like crates. Obviously, functional-wise, you're only really going to have chests and barrels. Oh yeah, that's a snow farm. Just a snow golem in there. I was farming snow so that I could do the Wither Rose farm. With a ton of snow golems from that. So that's why there's tons of snow blocks in the end now. Is the calcite banned in the Mountain Vanilla Generation? Yes, it is. I mean, it was originally Vanilla Generation. I've gone back and added the calcite after it was stolen. But, yeah. It did originally occur there in Vanilla. The main thing that's significantly different about navigating this environment in Minecraft compared to something like Elden Ring, I think, is full damage. Because in Minecraft, you can drop a heck of a way. And obviously, I've got feather falling on my boots. But even without that, you can drop 20 meters. 23 meters, I guess, is the maximum you can drop. Like 23 blocks. And you'll still be alive. Whereas I think if you drop 23 meters on Elden Ring, you're not really going to survive. So that's the thing about creating an explorable environment like this. If I'm building like a castle up here that's effectively going to be sort of like a dungeon, it's difficult to design stuff that Minecraft players won't just think, yeah, I could drop off that. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? There's a lot of just weird jagged holes in the terrain that I'm not sure is natural. I kind of wonder if this was Joe digging around for skulk catalysts when that whole incident happened. We do have some torches down here already, so I'll probably just close that up. Mostly just interested in limiting mob spawning that might happen in places like that. Is the castle going to be the Empire's decked out? I mean, nowhere near that complex. I just don't have the time. Neither the time nor the ingenuity to do something on the scale of decked out, so I'd honestly shy away from comparisons to stuff like that. Where is this in relation to the rest of the base? The mountain that you can see from my catacombs area, basically. Like over there, that's the statue. So, if you look, what would that be, like northwest? Northwest, yeah. Will we go back to Hermitcraft for decked out? I don't think there are plans to do that, but I don't know, if we get invited to do it in an informal sort of way, then maybe. But as far as the storyline stuff goes on Hermitcraft, that's basically over. I don't know if anybody else has any kind of pre-existing agreement with anybody to go back and play decked out, so I won't say for certain, because there might be some stuff I don't know about, but when we were talking about it initially, they were like, you know, is that the kind of thing you'd want to do, is come on and play, like, mini-games? Like, if Decked Out was done, would you want to do that? And we were like, of course, but Decked Out's not going to be done because, you know, it's a heck of a project and Tango needs time. Rubik's, welcome in. Thank you for the raids. Some very inventive raid messages going off in the chat. Hello, folks. Welcome in. Good to see you all. Hope you're well. If you're new here, my name is Pixelriffs. Probably best known for the Minecraft Survival Guide or Empire's SMP, where we're playing right now. I also do the Hermitcraft recap if you guys watch Hermitcraft. And yeah, right now we're just doing a bit of landscaping, a bit of terraforming, creating a custom edge to this plateau, this mountain area that I want to feel more like a cliff. Look up the Skyrim mod of Vigilance, specifically Act 2. Looks very Elden Ring inspired. I mean, I presume it's predates Elden Ring if it's a Skyrim mod, unless it's been made recently, but the Skyrim community is still so active, it always really surprises me. As somebody who's never actually played Skyrim, shocking, I know, in the year 2023, when it's available for every platform. But, yeah, I am kind of curious. Looks like a lot of terraforming work. It is, but it'll be worth it, hopefully. Stardust, thank you for the resub. GMcraft and Square Moon, thank you for the resubs as well. Appreciate the welcomes back. It is good to be back. Last got updated like 3 months ago. Oh, okay, so yeah, definitely recent then. Deeming Experience, thank you for the 6 months. Just redone my Skyrim mod list. It's magical. It never gets old. Yeah, fair. Am I still doing the Minecraft Survival Guide? It's been on hiatus for a while because Empires has been the more popular series. And because it's a multiplayer series, I like to focus my efforts on keeping up with the other players and making sure the server feels active for them. But I will be going back to the Minecraft Survival Guide fairly soon. If nothing else, sooner or later 1.20 has to come out, and when there's a new Minecraft update, it's really worth covering in the Survival Guide because people want to know about it. If they haven't been keeping up with development as it comes out in snapshots, then it's kind of nice to, give people a primer on what's in the update and how to find new features, especially if they've got an existing world. I think that's the interesting thing about features like armor trim, now that those are coming to the game. For existing worlds, it might even be harder to find them because you've already gone out and looked for all of the generated structures and stuff. But if you're starting a new world, the world is harder to explore at first because you don't have elytra and stuff. So there's going to be an interesting sort of race to see whether people with new worlds are going to be finding armor trim before people with old worlds, just because they might spawn next to a desert temple or a jungle temple or something like that. Or if people with older worlds are going to be trimming chunks just to regenerate the structures, regenerate the loot, and see if they get something different this time. Off to play D&D. Nice one, Rubik's. Have fun. Thank you again for the raid. Chunk trimming on Bedrock is significantly harder and riskier than Java for the sake of 2 rare trims. I've heard that it's okay on Bedrock if you've got something like Amulet Editor, but I'm not somebody who trims Bedrock worlds at all frequently, so yeah, difficult to say. If you've got more Bedrock experience than I have, I'll believe you. What was the chunk trimming program called that I used in Survival Series? I mean, if you go to the video, you'll find a full tutorial for it. It's called MCA Selector. It only works for Java because it's specifically designed to work with the Java world format, but other types of editors like Amulet Editor do exist for Bedrock Edition. What is chunk trimming? So Minecraft's world is divided up into 16 by 16 areas called chunks. That's how the game loads terrain. And there are certain programs which allow you to basically remove chunks that you've explored from your world and allow them to regenerate naturally according to your world seed. So they would generate with exactly the same terrain, but it would be like you'd never explored them. And people tend to do that a lot when new terrain gets added to the game. For example, the Cherry Grove biomes that are going to be added in Minecraft 1.20. If you already generated a bunch of mountains, then none of them are going to have a Cherry Grove in because the terrain is already there, and when you update your Minecraft world, Mojang tries not to have things that would like replace stuff you've already explored because you might have built something there. So cherry trees aren't just going to grow in the middle of something you've built. And instead you just have to explore further away and find terrain that you'd never seen before. Alternatively, you can delete a bunch of the mountains that you know you haven't built anything in, and they can regenerate naturally, and they may have cherry groves in there that they didn't have before, because the world seed is still going to determine where those biomes exist if you load the same world seed in a newer version of Minecraft. And it's really useful for people who want to keep up with Minecraft updates, but also want to keep the same world, because you're encouraged to explore in this game. You want to go out and find, you know, woodland mansions and ocean monuments and all of that stuff that's fewer and further between, and you end up exploring a lot of the world, but then at that point the world requires you to go further and further to find those structures again. So it's nice to be able to reset stuff like that. And yeah, if you loaded up the seed for Survival Guide Season 1, you would get a completely different world now because of terrain generation changing in 1.18. I have had a couple of people go back to that series and say, hey, I tried loading this up and the world looked completely different. How do you get to the area where you've started your base? And I was like, well, about that. You're going to have some issues. Zachris, thank you for the 10 months. Welcome in. Closest woodland mansion in your world was 25,000 blocks diagonally. I don't want to know how far I'll have to go for the trim. Well, the good thing is, it's not going to load all of the terrain perpendicular to that if you've just made a beeline for that woodland mansion. So, chances are, you might not even have to trim too much. What are we building right now? Oh, this is a cliff. Basically, I want this entire area to be a cliff that it's not really possible to climb except by a few specific paths. Obviously, we can fly over. The intention is not for it to be, like, impossible to get to in Minecraft, but for the purposes of it feeling like a good place to build a castle, we want to have it in a high and fortified area. So I kind of want to turn this whole part of the landscape into a natural cliff face. Is the cliff going to be hollow? Yeah, there's not really much point filling in all of this terrain because I don't have that much material. Like, the sheer amount of blocks it takes to fill in airspace like this is, like, pretty intense. And also, there's no real benefit to doing it. As long as you light the area up, you're not going to get mob spawns anyway. You're also leaving yourself space that you would, if you want to build like a dungeon layer to the castle or something like that, if you want to build a cellar, you leave yourself a bit of room to do projects like that. We're not covering up all of the calcite because I expect the plateau will sort of continue into that part of the mountain, but yes, eventually the calcite may be less visible because I'll be building on top of it. Because, yeah, I'm expecting most of the terrain to flatten out around, like, this height. But we might keep that part there and build something on top of that. Maybe that's where the keep is, because it's the highest point, so you'd have to continue climbing to get to it in the event of an invasion. We could continue the calcite into the cliff wall. We could do, like, a strata kind of marbled lines or something. Yeah, trees like this are going to have to go. And we're out of stone, so I'll have to dip back into the ender chest supply for that. I am also going to take a quick break, now we're an hour into the stream, and run to the bathroom. So, folks, I will be right back. Enjoy the music, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes' time. I have logged out, so don't worry. Alright. We're back. Hello, hello. Good tea today. Let's hop back in. I did log out, don't worry. Because it's probably dark now. Yep, thought so. Didn't really want to just leave myself logged in. What tea we're drinking today? Got some chamomile today. Felt like having something a bit more floral. Imagine if we did a Halloween stream where I tied fishing wire to the chair and made it move on its own when we went on break. Just have a rocking chair in the corner. I expect there's a bunch of streamers who do like almost like hoax stuff like that that effectively turns into like prop comedy or theatre. Yo, Acon Fletcher, thanks so much for the 12 months. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat, please. Especially if you've learned about what the word nerd is really about here today. Thank you so much for the full year of supports. Enjoy that nerd sub badge. Happy to have you. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. That feels like an extreme corner in the cliff, but we'll do something with that. Chair low-key stealing the show, always. Always being upstaged. Any thoughts on Windows 11? I haven't upgraded. Mostly because I always worry when OS updates come around that half of the software I use just isn't going to work on the next OS. And I'll have to find alternatives, and I just like using the stuff that I've got right now. So I tend to not update unless there's either no choice or I hear good things about the new one that make me want to switch over. But I'm like that with Mac OS as well, and phones. I never update right away. I put it off for as long as possible, typically. Just a habit at this point, though. It's not really that much of a problem. And you can run stuff in compatibility mode with Windows, so it's never that bad, but... Have a Windows 11 laptop, it's pretty annoying. I can't find anything. Oh, no. Well, that is unfortunate. Alright, we're getting out into powdered snow there, so we'll probably cap it off somewhere over there, for now at least. We'll have this come up in front. So this wall looks less flat because it's got something supporting it from below. And then have this one come out a touch, like that. Maybe do the same there. That one can just be flat. What's happening today? We are working on this cliff that I've been building around the outside of my area so that I can build a castle up here and it's going to be resting on top of a larger plateau. Is the plan? Actually like Windows 11 better than 10? Cool. I think it just mostly just takes a bit of getting used to, and then I'm fine, but yeah, I don't always update right away. We're going to be doing a 120 survival series after release. It'll be rolled into the survival guide world, so the existing survival guide world will continue. Well, thank you for making the guide on how to use multi-MC and replay mod. Awesome. I'm glad people are still using that, because I use replay mod all the time, and I still use multi-MC to log into Empires and manage my occasional modded instances. Because on Empires we just use a bunch of like cosmetic mods and sodium and stuff like that, but it does still help to have a separate launcher for that. A separate screenshots folder and everything else, instead of just using the default stuff Minecraft gives you for the vanilla launcher. So yeah, I'm glad people are still finding that useful. Am I a part of Hermitcraft? No. I do the Hermitcraft recap, but that's a fan project. And I was recently on the Hermitcraft server as part of the crossover with Empires, but I'm not like a member of Hermitcraft. I don't play on there at all regularly. I'm good friends with a couple of the Hermits, though. Like, we've hung out and stuff. And a couple more projects with them will be coming up, but perhaps not Minecraft related. What is the massive line of calcite? Natural world generation. Like, if you load up this world seed, which isn't public, so, you know, you can't right now unless you get very, very lucky. But if you loaded up the world seed in a fresh new world, you would find that that was basically where it is there. Like, it's not been placed by me originally. It was placed by me a second time because it was mined by another member of the server in the early days, but I tried to put it all back in the same place. Would I join Hermitcraft in later seasons if I was invited? Nope. I would politely decline. What characters do you reckon the Hermits would play? Joe definitely gives me Bard vibes. Joe has been an active participant in many Dungeons & Dragons campaigns, so I expect he's played a huge variety of characters. Like, if you want to take his Hermitcraft persona and apply a D&D class or, like, character to it, then I think Bard is a fairly safe bet. But I don't know if he thinks of himself that way or not. But Mumbo said the empires that cross the rift are hermits. Well, that's, I think, up to the individual person to really choose whether or not they feel like they are a hermit or not. Personally, I don't feel like I am one. How was the server crossover done? Was it organized? How long was it planned for? Since Grian built the rift in the summer? I think Grian built the rift just so he could have something to do lore with. But it was a funny coincidence that he built that at the time that he and Fwip were talking about, hey, could our two servers do something together? And, like, a lot of the storyline stuff on Hermitcraft seems to be, like, started by or at least like perpetuated by folks like Grian who enjoy the mischief side of things and telling a story through videos. And so yeah, Grian and Fwip were really the two who masterminded the collaborative stuff between Empires and Hermitcraft this season. We all had like a part in the discussions of everything, but it was really those two that really kicked it off. And we were talking about it before Empires Season 2 even got going. But we didn't really start properly planning it and what was going to happen until, like, you know, a few weeks beforehand. Really enjoyed all the recap jokes that were made. Yeah, I felt like I had to lean into it at that point. When you got other people making recap jokes, I was like, yeah, go on then. Yeah, see, this is so much more plain. But I kind of like that compared to this more busy style over here. But I feel like we can do something with that, you know? Sometimes I try and build too much shape into these things instead of just getting the basics down and see if I like it. Having some sections busy and some plain is fine, and also how mountains are. Probably the case, yeah. How that start to go in a little bit more now. There we go. There can be such a thing as over-detailing? Oh, of course. I'm just bad at that part. So yeah, that now sort of matches up height-wise with everything else. So we can start to flatten this section out, I think. We're going to do a double thick layer of stone. Going to do the Fwip method, because I'm sure I will start to texture the top part of this once we're coming back through with other blocks. I should really be more organized about grid torching this place. But typically you would do that with a flatter area that's... You know, in a flatter area, you're going to be able to guarantee that the light level isn't going to get blocked or drop a point or two by vertical difference. Wonder how many people are going to come around and be like, did this used to be here? Is this always like this? Have you at all decreased how many torches you use to light up areas since the spawning rule changes, or do you still use the same amount for visibility's sake? I rarely torch large areas like this anyway, and there are some sections of my builds, like the interior stuff for the catacombs, which is deliberately kept at a lower light level. Like, if you come in here, like, you can see there's darker patches on the floor here around the back. There's a lot more glow lichen here than there would be otherwise, but I also have the gamma turned up, so, like, this is how dark it normally feels. The candles around obviously help, but, like, you go down here, like, it's meant to feel gloomier, but this is all mob spawn proof. Like, I've never seen mobs spawn in here once I finish decorating it. But yeah, I so rarely bother torching large areas of the terrain like this, which is good, because if I had done that, I would have had to replace all of the soul torches that Cubfan swapped out, so I kind of dodged a bullet there, ironically. Providing a nice chill break from your children of urine reads. And you do need breaks from some of that stuff, right? It's heavy. Didn't realize he did that on top of the skulk. Yeah, he basically wanted it to spread more, so he found torches in people's bases and replaced them with soul torches. Which basically meant that mobs spawned everywhere, and while people were AFK or below their base or something, we ended up with tons of skulk on the surface. Is my cliff going to engulf the calcite vein? I haven't really decided yet. We're probably just going to build some stuff on top of it. Maybe end up using the calcite in the walls of the cliff instead of just burying it, you know? But I have a ton of calcite of my own that I might do that with. Adariel, if you're not aware of my partner's stream, you would definitely enjoy it. They usually stream today starting from like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, so they'll probably be live fairly soon over at twitch.tv/celeryman. They're writing out the entirety of Lord of the Rings by hand. I don't know if you've come from there or if you've been over to that stream before, but it's a chill time. Why am I placing stone too thick? So that if I want to texture it with gravel or anything like that, then I don't have to worry about like diving in and making sure there's blocks placed below the surface. Makes it a lot easier when you get to the texturing pass on stuff like this. If I want to have like concrete powder or something in here, same thing. Also, I think part of the reason Fwip does this when he landscapes is because that way if you break the blocks on the surface, you don't cause a ton of lighting updates below if the area isn't like fully lit. Obviously, like light from above comes in, and that just creates a lot of like instant lag on larger areas of terraforming. Massive Tolkien nerd, I found you through Empires, which I found through Hermitcraft. Well, yeah, go check him out, because it's a fun project. There is adult language and adult conversation, but I occasionally pop in and read what they've written. Right now they're on the Council of Elrond chapter, so we're really in the thick of the exposition part. Oh, I don't have any stone left. I'm just, like, firing fireworks off. Let's check that my voice chat is off. Yeah, celebrate, we're out of stone. Tolkien sure was a descriptive king. He certainly was. Have a series of books about his son, from his son about the process of writing Lord of the Rings. Oh yeah, like the history of Middle Earth stuff is always really interesting. I don't own many of those. I think we have a couple, but even Unfinished Tales and the Silmarillion have like editor's notes because Tolkien didn't get to publish any of that stuff before he died. That was all published posthumously. Do I have any tips for writing lore? I mean, a lot of it just comes from your own imagination, but don't be afraid to take inspiration from other stories that you find compelling. Like in my case, I want to do a lot more environmental storytelling, and like I'm building ruins so it looks like this place has a history without necessarily having written out the whole backstory of it beforehand. Like I know vaguely what's happened here, but that's not the point. I'm also benefiting from the fact that I have an audience of people who will more often than not speculate about this stuff and sort of write their own theories about what's happening in empires and like what people's histories are, and all of that stuff just feels equally as fun as telling people a story, you know, is like giving people a few puzzle pieces and letting them paint their own picture. Just two very different belabored metaphors. What's the best biome to find diamonds in? You can find them in all of them. Like, diamonds aren't really biome specific. Honestly, though, if you're looking for loot diamonds instead of like mining for diamonds, then you'll find a lot of them in like shipwrecks and desert temples and stuff. Can you really have environmental storytelling without having skeletons in random poses? Now, the true environmental storytelling is that Sam Winkler tweet about how all you have to do is have one character say something like "Zanzibar, forgive me," as they die, and then lore nerds will make a 1-hour YouTube video on how good your story is. Somebody posted a montage or a collage, I guess, of the amount of times that happens in Elden Ring, and there are at least 5 or 6 characters who like die and say, "Oh, so and so, forgive me," as they turn into dust. True environmental storytelling is the friends we made along the way. Absolutely, telling the story of their environment, if you know what I mean. How much time have I spent at terraforming in any world? I mean, the longest I probably spent was in Survival Guide building a ski resort, where I had to build the mountains from scratch, and terrain was not as tall in that type of world generation as it became in 1.18, so yeah, I've spent a lot of time terraforming that world in Survival Guide so that I could build a plausible ski slope. And even then, I don't think I did the most spectacular job of that. I liked the way it turned out, but it still felt kind of Minecraft. And there are people who make really realistic mountainous terrain using like World Painter and a few other community-made tools, which is always a really great setting for ski resort builds because you can actually emulate the paths that people might take. More often than not, though, you have to use snow layers and stuff, and I just didn't have the patience to do all of that in survival. I did some of it, but not all of it. Love the idea of building a ski resort. I ski in the Alps every winter. Wow, you're lucky. I've only ever been skiing once or twice. Like I went skiing for like half a day when I was younger, and then next time my family went on a skiing holiday, I went snowboarding. But I've only ever done that like twice. Have I done super flat survival before? I've dabbled in it as like a kind of fun test, but I never committed to like doing a series of it or anything. I've messed around with it and been like, can you do this? And figured out, yeah, you probably can. And then I didn't ever feel like it was going to make a compelling series for me. I know some people have done it in the same way that people do like Skyblock series and stuff, but not necessarily my jam. See you later, Raymond. Have a good one. Will this project be as large as the anthill? Probably bigger, if anything. Not the same sort of shape, though. And I have to do less building of the actual landscape, because really this is all just going to like flatten out at the top here, and then I'm going to start building a structure, and it's going to be quite good, I think. How do you talk about survival guide? Is it made for beginners, or does it include more advanced stuff like Nether and M-based farms? It's kind of everything. Like I try and progress it slowly. Like I'm not starting off going like, okay, like it's episode 3, we're going to build a super ginormous zombie pigman farm or something, but like I'm trying to introduce concepts to people slowly if they're beginners, and then ramp up the intensity of some of those projects. Like when I built a guardian farm in that series, I built a large guardian farm because I figured we might as well just do this now, and then we'll never have to worry about a guardian farm again, really. Although we could do one that doesn't involve draining the entire thing, but I just wanted to signpost to people that that was possible. Briggs, thanks so much for the 5 months. I did have a great time on vacation. It was lovely. Spent a lot of it just hanging out, playing Stardew Valley, made some good food. We were staying at my partner's family's home, so it's not like we had to do a ton of sightseeing or whatever whilst we were there. We just had a nice, relaxing time. It was good. Zakris, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Folks in the chat, if you've been gifted a sub, make sure you thank these very generous sub gifters for doing what they do.
Well, that's just prime.
And Scooby-Doo Rocks, thanks so much for the Prime sub. A brand new Prime sub to the channel. Enjoy those emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Which state have I been to on vacation? I went to California this time because it's where my partner is from. In the past, I used to live in California for like a year when I was maybe like 11 or 12. So when we were there, we went to Utah, Nevada, and Arizona because they were close by. I'd been to New York very briefly for like 3 days after visiting our relatives who live in Michigan, and then going up through Canada and down via Niagara Falls into New York State. So we spent a couple of days in New York City, but I was like 9 then, so since then I haven't really been like around the United States for tourism purposes very frequently. But chances are we'll get to it eventually. Oh, this is the other thing about building in a mountain biome, is that we're going to get snow here. Have to prepare for that. Managed to veer around Ohio. Yeah, I've not been to Ohio to my knowledge. Yeah, because some of this is like, this right here is Grove biome, whereas this is Stony Peaks, so you're going to get some snow forming here, but not there. Thank you, Swaggy. Yes, it means a lot. Always happy to hear I inspire people. To remind myself that there are mountains that don't get snow now. Yes, there are certainly some which, if they generate adjacent to warm biomes, like this one obviously borders on a savanna, then there are going to be areas that don't get snow, and then there will of course be areas that do. Right here, for example. It obviously looks very artificial compared to the way we experience snow in real life. You know, you don't tend to see snow falling in like a 5-foot square slightly to your right, but you know, this is where the video game stuff really takes over. I think Stony Peaks are the only mountains that don't get snow. That's possible, I guess, yeah, because it's like jagged peaks are still temperate to cold, and then obviously the other ones like ice peaks and stuff, so those are naturally going to get snow. Oh. Who's this on my mountain?
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, good, good. I was flying over yesterday, and I saw that you were building the mountain. I was like, I have to look at it. And so I came over to look at it.
I'm building more of a plateau than a mountain, I guess, but I just needed somewhere to put the castle. So it felt like it was going to make sense to have it on a cliff. I'm still going for Elden Ring vibes.
Yeah. Castle on a cliff, very Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Is the calcite staying? Is the calcite...
The calcite is probably going to be incorporated somehow, and I have a ton more from another mountain way further out, so I can always get more if I need it.
Yeah, but, I walked over that and heard the lava, and I was like, oh, right, forgot about that part.
Yeah, that was more of a deterrent, just in case Joel decided to try it again.
Yeah.
I think he heard it when he was covering the entire thing with glass, but I did like the idea of him just, like, walking over, like,
yeah,
you know, innocently whistling to himself, digging down, and then just frying.
How long did it take to get rid of the glass? Because I was there yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I did that like in a couple of hours this morning and finished it off when I started the stream. So yeah, not too long.
Okay, that's not bad.
He said it took him like an hour and a half just to place it all. So I think it was.
Yeah, I feel like the cleanup whenever you're doing something with glass is always worse though. Why we can't instant mine it, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Even if you could do it with a sword and it would just disappear, I'd prefer that sometimes.
What we really need is Silk Touch TNT so that it doesn't just destroy it.
Yeah, if only. A TNT that purely explodes glass with Silk Touch. I think that sounds like a very Minecrafty thing to add to the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very. Enchanted TNT or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People keep asking me why I'm doing this 2 layers thick, and I keep blaming you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I will say though, when you're this close to the ground below, I've definitely stopped doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if it's it's the lighting updates if you're really high in the sky and there's like 100 blocks of darkness below you.
Sure, yeah.
Because it does a lighting update on every single air block as it's going down too. And then you spread that out going 15 blocks wide every single direction. You're updating a few thousand blocks every single time you accidentally break one, and no matter how powerful or supercomputer you have, it's just like, bleh, I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking more of the texture pass, though. I'm thinking of, like, when I want to throw some gravel and concrete powder and stuff up here, not having it all fall through the scenery is kind of nice.
That was my original reason for it, and then it turned into the lag version to make it actually work. But definitely, it's like, if you have the materials and you're okay with the time, it's worth it. I just am lazy and I want to get it done quick.
This is all stone that I've dragged out of the ground where I dug the copper aging factory, so I still have tons of natural stone left around. And then you've got a stone generator, so I mean...
Yes, if you need more, I have I've been saving up some for spawn, but I definitely made more than I think I need to actually shape out spawn that I'm working on. So I have 6 shulkers of stone sitting around if you need more. So
cool, yeah. At some point when we get a clip together, I will be able to give you the 110 beacons that I've got laying in an ender chest somewhere. Because Yeah, it turns out I had a bunch of wither skulls over at the farm, and I farmed maybe like 100 or so stars just under the end portal. So
Yeah,
lots of beacons for lighting that thing up if you want them.
Even I will say, even if you just get the skulls for free from the Wither Skelly farms, right? Actually going and killing the withers takes so much time.
It really does. I was doing that for basically the entire of my Thursday stream. It was like 3 hours of just killing the wither, and not in a very complicated way, just like under the portal.
Yeah, it's just spawn in, jump with Smite 5 axe until dead, repeat.
Yeah. Rinse,
just
repeat. But like, it just takes forever, and you're always having to run away from it so that it doesn't explode you, and it's just like the muscle memory you develop after that. You're like, let me not forget to run away one time.
It's like, okay, it's gonna explode now. All right, I'll start walking back in, and I'll be safe.
Yeah, the timing.
Then the one time you forget.
You find those like minor optimizations that just make it slightly faster.
Yeah. Well,
it's like having a beacon for mining obsidian. It's like, let me save a fraction of a second every time, but it all adds up.
From somebody who tore down the end pillars, it saves a lot of hours.
Oh yeah, no, it does. If you want that much of it, yeah, you are literally you're saving yourself maybe half an hour over the course of one end pillar. It's worth it.
Yeah, I just went through and organized all of the storage in my hardcore world, and I was like, do I have 40,000 obsidian sitting right here? Yes. Am I going to get rid of it? No. Am I ever going to use it? Probably not, but I have it, and I'm not throwing it away.
Yeah. That's you completely remodeling the end island, so that's one.
Yeah. I think it was 44,000 in my world. I know some people have had it in like the 50 and 60s, depending on
I guess it depends
luck
how
of
the pillars generate, right?
Yeah.
The thick ones get really tall.
Oh yeah. All right, well, I just want to stop by and say hello and see how this was going, because I saw the frame yesterday, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. I got to go bother him about it. And then here you are.
Like, I need to get some texture in here and decide whether I like the slightly smoother look to it over here or the slightly more cluttered look over there, and what kind of works out overall. But I'm liking it so far. It's just nice to do something that I can just sit and place blocks for a while and I get big results.
Yeah. And that like point you have out over there, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but that seems like a really cool little like sticky outy section.
I'm trying to figure out how they build the cliffs in like, AAA game environment design, and thinking like, there's going to be some points that are like pointy that the player can kind of step out onto and look over the surrounding vista, or maybe like break out from under them and they fall or whatever, that kind of thing.
Totally. Yeah. Now, I think the smooth down here, if you're doing the really ruined castle theme, like the rest of the ancient capital, like I feel like if that's all ruined, a smoother section here with like some maybe intense erosion channels, that could be really cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely give it some thought. I'm going to look up tons of reference images after this and see what I can cobble together. Get a board going.
Gotcha. Well, good luck. If you need any stone, let me know. I got plenty that I can share.
I will.
I'll let you get back to it.
If I feel like being indebted to goblins anytime soon, you're the man I'll call.
At this point, I just want to get rid of it. I have so much.
All right. I'll do you a favor sometime then. Bye. All right. That was our house call for the day. The barter for obsidian, yeah. Yeah, see what you can cobble together. I don't know, instinctively use phrases like that. Let me turn my speakers back up again. And yeah, doing everything 2 layers thick like this is going to be worth doing. I will continue to tell myself that. Let's throw all of this stuff in here for now so I can grab the rest of the stone. I'm not going to run out for a little while longer. If there's a modded SMP after Empires, what mods would you like to be in there? Well, honestly, I'm kind of interested in seeing if Afterlife Season 2 happens, because like that whole series seemed really fun, and it's fed back into Empires in a big way for a lot of people. Like I know Ollie's stuff and Sausage's stuff all kind of feels like it inhabits the same universe as their Empires content. Zephyr Zero, thanks so much for the 6 months. Welcome back. Glad to have me back after vacay. Nice chill morning streams for you at work. Glad I can help your morning be a little bit more chill. Evil picks getting the Wither origin. Knowing me, I would just find some way of making the Wither a more complex entity and having it be like, I'm just misunderstood, you know? Like, I was talking about this on the last stream, but like, making the Wither or the Skulk the villain, like, feels a little bit old school in terms of the storyline. Like, it feels like it's been done at this stage. Like, even on Decidedly Vanilla, Page of Maces had this Wither possession kind of storyline, which just feels like enough people have had that idea at some point. Like, I'd want to do something different with it. What time is it in the UK? It's coming up to 5. It's just gone 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's getting there. Do we talk about the Hermit TCG? Don't have any questions. Just want to hear more of your thoughts on it beside what you said in the recap. I just think it's really cool. And I've been... One of the streams I was watching earlier, just to kind of like relax, was some people playing Marvel Snap. And I'd never really seen Marvel Snap before. Between that and TCG, I'm trying not to get addicted to some kind of like online card game thing. Like, I've seen Hearthstone before, but Hearthstone never really appealed to me. I think Marvel Snap is a really fun looking game. I know a lot of people feel the same way about Gwent, but I never really got into The Witcher. TCG is basically gambling. That's also why I'm poor. I mean, it tends to be a bit more, like, I don't know, skill-based or... Yes, it's deck building and it's about luck, about what you draw, but like other board games, there's a certain amount of strategy involved. Like Marvel Snap is basically a strategy game, right? Have a bunch of friends addicted to Marvel Snap. I suppose the other thing is like about what cards you get and stuff like that, but I think Beef has managed to stop it being kind of pay to win by implementing the whole system of like you have to play games and earn tokens rather than spending money to get the cards. It feels quite healthy, sensible. Win to play, yeah, absolutely. But you even get a point, you get a token even if you lose, kind of thing. But yeah, like, I recognize that stuff like Marvel Snap, it tends to be, you know, it's encouraging you into the ecosystem of paying for stuff. But, that's why I'm not playing it. One of the reasons I'm not playing it. The other reason being that I need to spend more time in Minecraft. What I like about Marvel Snap is you'll get all the cards, it's just a matter of when. I have a friend who doesn't buy anything, it doesn't feel like it takes away from the game. Yeah, like the people I've seen playing it haven't put in any money, or like they've just had the battle pass, but they haven't like bought any of the packs of tokens and stuff like that. I think like that's probably the way I would play it if I played it, but I don't plan to. I like watching people play. You can sort of play vicariously through other people. Do I hope that I'll get 1 million subs in YouTube this year? I'm more interested in just growing my audience. Like, subscribers is kind of a vanity metric at this point. Like, it doesn't... It'd be nice just to get the plaque to go on my wall for the gold play button, but realistically, like, the amount of subscribers you have doesn't matter compared to the amount of viewers that you have. And that's a much harder thing for YouTube to define on, like, average viewership. Looks a lot less sexy than a subscriber count. Ever watched Magic the Gathering content? Not really. Like, I played a bit of Magic the Gathering when I was in school, but I never really got into it as far as looking up videos or playing Arena or anything. Like, my good friend Dan will play... He's, like, streamed Magic the Gathering Arena a couple of times. But, yeah, I don't tend to watch too much stuff related to card games. I think from this point here, this is about as tall as we want it to get, and it's like roughly level with the mountainside here. Magic is harder to follow than Snap if you don't have the background. Yeah. Like, there's a lot more rules to learn. Like, what all of the abilities and stuff mean, like trample and whatnot. Whereas Marvel Snap seems to be a lot more like, all of the rules are just written on the cards, just do whatever it is they say. And the games are a lot faster in Snap too. What am I doing today? Just working on this kind of plateau cliff sort of thing that eventually a castle is going to be built up on here. I just need to have a foundation for it. And I'm building over the top of the natural terrain here. Probably covering up some of this calcite area, but then remodeling this and moving some of it. And it's going to eventually connect up with this tower, which was always intended to be part of the castle, but I needed something to surround my nether portal more than I needed a massive build project at that point in the season. Any thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! The shows or the game? Either one. Honest confession, I haven't really seen that much of either. I'm aware of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a phenomenon and as a meme more than I am the actual, like, series. I don't tend to follow that much. What's my favorite feature in 1.20? I don't know. It's difficult to say at this point. There's a lot of them. I still really like the way chiseled bookshelves turned out. I love the fact that cherry wood is in the game now. Bamboo's going to be really interesting. I love the sniffer. Obviously, it doesn't do a whole lot right now, but I just love its character. It's got kind of a good vibe. So yeah, like, there's some really, really solid stuff in there, in my opinion. Cherry wood and nether bricks is so good for the goths. Yeah, it goes quite well with crimson wood and stuff as well. Like, the kind of, obviously, the warmer and more red wood palette, mangrove, crimson, that kind of stuff it's going to do very well with. Mangrove is annoying to farm. It's not too bad. Get allays. Like, honestly, I think allays are really helpful when it comes to clearing out all of the leaves and whatnot. You get allays, you get a silk touch hoe, they compost all of the leaves that you break, and all of the roots and stuff can be composted as well. And then you're usually off to the races. Supposedly the pink petal carpet can go on walls too. I didn't try that. That's kind of neat. J.O. Yen says, thanks for making the David Copperfield machine. It's helped so much. I'm glad. I'm glad people are using it. a link to the David Copperfield machine? Yes, there is a full creative mode tutorial on my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/pixelriffs. It's like 2 videos ago. Or one of the mods can find it and drop it in the chat, maybe.
Well, that's just prime.
Tired Pumpkin, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate the 11-month resub. True Purple, thank you for the 4 years as well. 4 years, wow. That must have come through while I was talking with Whip. I'm sorry I missed that one. How do you make something look like a ruins? Well, if you look at the stuff I've already built. For a start, this place is largely incomplete, right? Like, it kind of helps if you build something, but then you imagine, hey, the roof has probably been made of wood and that's, like, rotted away. There's some interior details here that I just kept because I wanted there to feel like there was a doorway here, but some of this stuff would have rotted away. Use mossy cobblestone, cracked bricks, andesite, anything that changes some of the natural stone textures to look a little bit more grubby. I use polished basalt basically everywhere because I think it makes for a really dirty, streaky kind of look. But then you can mix in tuff as though bits of it have started to crumble, as though maybe that's just a facade over layers of internal bricks. Yeah, like there's a whole variety of things that you can do to make things look like ruins. Even stuff like the museum. Like, this is a build that's meant to have stood here for a little bit longer simply because it's built better, maybe has some better materials in it, but the copper in this is all oxidized, which kind of goes with the colors of the glazed terracotta a little better. There's a layer of glow lichen above the terracotta that makes it look kind of cracked and broken up, as though the mosaic has kind of crumbled a bit. Any quartz or calcite that you might be tempted to use, mix diorite into it because it looks older and grubbier. There's a whole variety of stuff. Mud and mud bricks are also really good for that. They were added in 1.19. They really add to the build palette for aging stuff. If I ever been to any IRL ancient ruins, there's a few castles in the area where I live, and I've been to a few on holiday and stuff. So I've done a bit of sightseeing. Been to Stonehenge, although that's not really a ruin. It's more of like just an ancient site. Did Joe complete the alarm machine in the museum? Yeah. Yeah, the security door does work. Haven't had to worry about break-ins for a little while, though, because fewer people have been playing. Part of Stonehenge has fallen over, so technically it's a ruin. I guess that could be the case, yeah. Finally, we get to get rid of this rain. The UK is like 50% ruins. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a village just outside of Southampton, and Southampton was pretty heavily affected by bombing during the Second World War. So there were some areas where there used to be city walls that were destroyed because it was a port, so it was used strategically and therefore was a strategic target for bombing runs. And you ended up with a lot of the old city walls being destroyed, and so the central shopping area in modern day was centered around this area called the Bargate, which used to be like one of the main gates of the city walls of Southampton, but it was basically just the gatehouse standing on its own now, and like a lot of pedestrianized shopping area built around it because there was no wall left in that part of the town. Why am I building another mountain? Haven't you learned your lesson? Honestly, when you've finished building something big, like a castle or a mountain, I feel like you learn so much in the process of building it that more often than not, I find I instantly want to go and build another one, because I would already do it differently. I would start out differently or something, like the first time I tried. And frankly, I'm not really building a mountain here. I'm more building a cliffside plateau, but... Have I been to the underground market in the Great Bridge? I have not, no. I mean, only in so much as I went down there to take all of the sculpt catalysts out of the bridge. I've not been there on camera to, like, buy anything or whatever. I just know it exists because a video was made about it. And then people obviously came into my chat and told me, because people can't keep a secret in the Minecraft YouTube fanbase. Not that it matters, because it's all just for fun video content anyway. Are there any new achievements for killing the Warden? No. You're actually not really meant to kill it in terms of the intended experience for the Warden. It's meant to be more of a stealth challenge than it is a combat challenge, which is why it doesn't have like a health bar that shows up or anything. Zuka, thanks so much for the 10 months. Welcome in. You're planning on building a mountain in the survival world? Good luck. It's a fun challenge, but I do recommend it. You learn a lot about terraforming in the process. But yeah, the Warden isn't even a requirement for the advancement you get for killing all of the hostile mobs in the game. So that should tell you something about whether or not the developers expect you to kill it. We'll just check under here to see how well lit this is. It's looking pretty good, actually. We ever going to see who robbed you? I mean, you've seen him, but he denied it. So, as far as the mystery of what happened to my Deep Slate Emerald, I do plan on resolving that soon, yeah. Ave, thank you so much for the 22 months. Welcome back. Good to see you. Farming potatoes reminded me how fun would it be if you could throw them like snowballs. Yeah, like having a potato gun would be kind of fun. Somebody said there was one in Create. Title said chopping, where's the chopping? We are chopping air blocks. That's still possible, you know. Sometimes chopping is just about completing tasks. It's not necessarily about using an axe on wood. Chopping is a state of mind. Right now I'm chopping my to-do list in half. Yes, your chopping list. Oh. That is it for that box of stone. Luckily, we got a few more of those. And most of this is going to be a subtractive terraforming rather than additive. Like, all of this is additive. But then if you look over here, a lot of this terrain is already as flat as it needs to be. Or as tall as it needs to be, rather, and then we'll flatten it out. There's a little saddle of terrain here before it climbs again. And I think we'll keep most of this as is. We just need to make sure it's wide enough, really. And then some of it we can leave the height difference in, and we can just end up with taller or shorter castle towers and walls that change height and that kind of thing. I think you saw a cat under the stone? That seems unlikely. Because I only have one cat that I've tamed in this world, and I'm pretty sure that is back at the ruins. I don't think there should be any villagers around here that would spawn cats. And the only other cats in this area are over at the museum where Joe Hills left them, so... Thought you saw something orange under there. It might just have been a trick of the lighting. Are the Joe Hills cats now just a fun problem to solve, or should they be removed? I'm leaving them at the museum, but there are definitely a lot of them that ended up getting removed. Because they were all over the hillside by the rift when the hermits were going back, and it was bad enough with voice chat chaos without also having the sound of, like, 500 cats in the background. Am I going to do a Season 3 of Survival Guide when 120 comes out? No, 120 is going to be a continuation of Survival Guide Season 2, so I won't do a new world, but there will be new exploration and new features to cover. But in the same world as Survival Guide Season 2. Because there's no real point in restarting the season, because everything that I've covered so far is still going to be relevant. To my knowledge, there's not going to be anything that you need to be too aware of. Like, maybe the videos about desert temples will need revision, but that will be one of the first things I do, is go and search for an undiscovered desert temple, do the archaeology stuff. Jadzia with a 12-month resub. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat once again. Thank you so much for the full year of support here on the channel. Enjoy your nerd sub badge. Welcome to the nerd herd. Do I use chunk-based and survival guides? No, not to my recollection. It's been a while, but I did want to have that feel like one of the purest vanilla experiences possible. So, yeah, I ultimately decided I wasn't going to look too much stuff up if I could help it, and wasn't going to use mods like Matica or whatever else to help me build stuff. Wasn't using Optifine to make everything look different. I was just building with everything as vanilla as possible. Did I get Nerd Herd from Toe Jam and a Hole for the Sega Genesis? I did not, but it's kind of a fun coincidence. I used to play that game. But no, I just got it from the fact that it rhymes. Why am I making the floor too thick? So that when I come back with all of the texturing blocks, if I'm using gravel and concrete powder and stuff to change the texture of the stone here and there, I don't have to worry about it all falling through the terrain. Yeah, now everybody is enthusing about Toe Jam and Earl. They made a, not like a remake of that, but they sort of added a new game to the series sort of recently. Big, like, nostalgia play. Excuse me. I don't know if that many people were into it, but it was kind of funny to hear of it coming back. Is it ever night on this server? I mean, we tend to sleep a lot. But we have a normal day-night cycle. Like, it's rising currently. Did I see Mumbo's reaction to David? I did, yeah. It was very sweet of him. Always kind of cool when you can build something that impresses someone who's been working with redstone for 10 years. Would I like to meet Mumbo one day? Already have. Met him in 2017 at an event at the Copperbox Arena where they did a Skywars tournament and a Minecon Live watch party. That was when the update Aquatic was announced. Watching the VOD of Tango's last stream and heard him claim to be a beginner at Redstone. Who, Tango? I think it's funny, that stuff, like... Whether it's people just, like, kind of poking fun at them feeling like a noob at the time, or whether it's just them being humble in comparison to some of the folks who do more extreme stuff, it's... always funny to hear people say they're unfamiliar with the stuff that the community feels like they know them for. Oh, seriously, it's raining again. How frequently does it rain now? Kind of ironic that we're lighting this up when really if you just broke through any of the calcite there'd be lava sources underneath it, but... Tango said he's an old school redstoner more than anything. That makes more sense. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit closer to the truth. Tango has yet to pass Beef and B-Dub's perfect redstone course that Etho is a famous graduate of. Yeah. Well, that's, you know, you got to get your certifications in order, haven't you? How do you feel if I stole the calcite from your mountain in the world download? I wouldn't care if it was the world download. Do whatever you want. Blow my base up if you want to, but, like, it's not going to affect the world I'm playing in at the time. It feels weird flattening this area out now, but I think it will look better in the long run. It'll at least be easier to build on. Whoa, hello. Did not need to panic at that as the way that I did, but evidently there is some spawnable space down here. Oh! That's why I panicked. Look at where that hit me. Ouch. Ace Ventura style, right in the thigh. Oh gosh, I've just got no energy today. I'm feeling really tired. I think we might wrap up a little bit early just so I can go and get some more energy somehow. Fresh cup of tea, and then just relax and not have to worry too much about wasting my fireworks and entertaining people on stream. Get some sleep. Sleep's important. I mean, I'm not going to go to bed at like 5:30, but I don't tend to take naps, and right now I don't want to disturb my sleep schedule. Like if I've been struggling to sleep with the jet lag, I'm not too keen on taking naps in the middle of the day. Just gets me into bad habits. But yeah, I might just go and relax for a little bit, get something to eat, grab a snack, and then continue this bit between streams. Took a nap yesterday, ruined my sleep last night. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid. I mean, especially with having had a rougher time readjusting to UK time zone. Oh, and now there's a zombie. Managed to see that one catching up, sneaking up on us. Let's grab these. Toss them into the pit. The snow golem is trying, bless him. That doesn't mean it's like thunderstorm weather. It's probably just like a cave somewhere. Yeah, they're coming up from down here, and it's not burning them in the sunlight because it's raining. Now you can go away for a start. I'm about to mess up all of my carefully curated terraforming. Oh, there's like a whole system down here that I don't think I found. Well, maybe I did, but I just didn't find this entrance to it. Hey, fun. Funny how all the things we hated as kids are now the best things about being adults. Go and clean your room, sleep early, eat what's on the table. Yeah. It's because you have the choice to do it. Instead of it being something that somebody else is insisting that you do. Alright, friends, I think we will call it there. Just so I can go and relax a little bit and try not to fall asleep. Sooner or later, my sleep schedule will be back to normal. In the meantime, as I mentioned earlier, my partner Celeryman is streaming on Twitch in the other room, doing their usual Lord of the Rings stuff, although I think it's watercolor stuff today. Just decorating one of the poems that's been written out in full. Let's see who else is live. We'll go see Malcolm today. Music Man 1017 is currently in his solo hardcore Minecraft world in 119.2. Spent about 400 hours in this world so far. It's cool to see him back in the hardcore world. He spent a lot of time doing like speed running and stuff, which is always cool to see, but he's also a very talented hardcore player. So go check him out. You can use your pixel hype emotes in the hashtag pixelraid. He's a lovely dude. You'll have a great time over on his stream. Let him know I sent you, because I'm going to go and crash and get some food and stuff. But I'll see you again on Thursday for another Minecraft stream. Until then, take care. Have a good one. Bye for now.